The story begins with a girl feeding a boy. Right away, the question comes up, are they a couple? The boy looks uncomfortable and tries to avoid eating. The girl, both teasing and a little scary, asks why he's running away. He gives a weak answer, saying couples do things like this. Then he quickly adds that they're not a couple, at least not yet. The girl grins and mocks him, reminding him they're just friends. After a short silence, the boy tries to explain that eating together usually means people get along. But the girl surprises him by pulling out a homemade bento. He realizes the meaning of that. Sharing a homemade lunch is something couples do, so what are they? Friends? Lovers? Something else? The story jumps back to an elegant celebration. A couple clinks wine glasses. The woman is thrilled by the fancy atmosphere and thanks the man, Seiichi, the protagonist. They're celebrating an anniversary, something she never expected at her age. Seiichi assures her that age doesn't matter. Suddenly, he blurts out a love confession. When he's about to sign the marriage certificate, he stops, remembering an emergency and leaving in a rush. The woman, thinking it's related to his work, lets him go and tells him to take the document. But once Seiichi is alone, he smashes his phone and tears up the certificate, frustrated with himself. Before he can calm down, he hears a congratulatory voice. He turns to see his superior Taka, praising him for pulling off the scam. Seiichi, annoyed, tells him not to sneak up on him. Taka moves on to business. The organization has one last job for him. Seiichi reluctantly agrees, hoping this really is his final mission. Taka introduces the target, a woman named Karasuma Ren. Seiichi is shocked to learn she's a police officer. Taka explains that Ren has been interfering with their operations, and they need her out of the way before a major deal tomorrow night. Seiichi tries to protest, but Taka shuts him down and reminds him what happens if he fails. Tension rises as Seiichi arrives at the police department, fully aware of the danger. He's mentally preparing for hell, only for someone to correct him, saying this is District 3, not District 1. When he turns, he meets Ren's sharp gaze. She immediately pulls out her gun and aims it at him. She clearly doesn't trust strangers. Panicking inside, Seiichi wonders if his criminal record will ruin everything. Ren stays suspicious and asks if he's really just an ordinary citizen. Seiichi tries to stay calm and says he's here because he lost something. Ren doesn't believe him but tells him to step inside. Inside the interrogation room, Seiichi thanks Ren for the lost item form she gives him. As he fills it out, he asks about the police database she mentioned and compliments her skills. She doesn't seem impressed. She points out a mistake he made on the form, and Seiichi quickly apologizes while trying to figure out his next move. He knows he's in one of the most dangerous situations of his life, and there's no turning back. Ren has no experience with romance and has never had a relationship. Seiichi, being a con artist, understands that knowing your opponent is the key to success. He also notices that Ren has sharp instincts, always on high alert. Right now, though, she's focused only on the lost item report. As soon as the missing item is found, she'll call him. Seiichi thinks that if he keeps her attention on him, she won't look deeper into who he really is. So he chooses an unusual strategy. Without any hesitation, he tells her she's incredibly beautiful. His real plan? Seduction. At first, it sounds ridiculous, but it has a purpose. First, he doesn't want to waste time. He needs fast progress. Second, because Ren has zero experience with romance, he believes a direct approach will work better than slow flirting. But Ren reacts with pure disgust, wondering what he's talking about. Seiichi doesn't back down. He compliments her again, saying there aren't many beautiful women like her, especially ones with such a cool and powerful aura. Plus, being a police officer who protects others makes her even more impressive. He asks if she'd like to go out for a meal. Inside his head, he notes that she isn't reacting at all, and he might die before the day ends. Then Ren suddenly asks what he means by that. Seiichi knows that under normal circumstances, this tactic almost never works. But if he wants to get closer to her, he has to go all in. So he claims it's love at first sight. Ren freezes for a moment, thinking. Then she sighs and says she has no choice but to accept his invitation. Later, Seiichi contacts Taka, who tells him to take Ren to the designated spot that night. But Seiichi still doesn't fully understand what kind of person Ren is. Somehow, he managed to make a connection with her. Later, at a cafe, Ren suddenly slides a marriage certificate across the table. Seiichi is stunned. When he asks what it is, Ren calmly says it's exactly what it looks like. Confused, he asks why she's giving it to him. Ren answers plainly. It's because he fell in love with her at first sight. A flashback shows Ren's past. She always lived strictly by the rules and avoided romance. She never felt connected to love and convinced herself it wasn't for her. But deep down, she envied people who could feel it. Then Seiichi appeared and showered her with compliments. No matter how tough someone is, most women don't dislike being called beautiful, and Ren was no exception. She asked why he said those things, and Seiichi answered, "Love at first sight." And just like that, a woman in love is born, a love monster. Back in the present, Ren mentions that if they get married, she will become Karasuma Seiichi Ren. But inside, Seiichi panics. He used a fake name on the lost item report, not his real one, so the situation is getting out of control. If this continues, he's doomed. His target is a police officer, and the closer they get, the easier it will be for her to discover the truth. Marriage is impossible. He tries to slow things down, saying they barely know each other and should take time to learn more first. But Ren, with dangerously sharp eyes, says that if the goal is marriage, they should just get married immediately. She says her heart is already full of love and that there's no such thing as a fake relationship. Neither of them is willing to back down. In panic, Seiichi says they can't register the marriage yet because they don't have the official seal. But Ren pulls out the seal from her bag. She came fully prepared. Seiichi screams internally, "She's too thorough, and I used a fake name. If she submits this, I'm dead." He desperately searches for a way out. If things continue like this, he won't survive. So he tries to stall again. He says rushing into marriage is a waste of time, and they should start by being friends first. Without saying anything, Ren stands up and leaves the table. Seiichi asks where she's going, but she doesn't answer. He assumes she went to the restroom. He sighs and thinks, making her fall for me and keeping her from discovering the real me are both equally hard. Time passes, but Ren still doesn't return. Seiichi wonders how long women take in the bathroom and starts thinking something might be wrong. Suddenly, his phone rings. The moment he answers, someone screams so loudly it nearly destroys his eardrum. The voice demands an explanation and sounds furious. Seiichi recognizes it. It's Taka. He asks what's happening, but Taka, sounding desperate, keeps shouting that he's in trouble and Seiichi must help him. Just as he's about to explain more, the call cuts off. Meanwhile, Ren is shooting at Taka, forcing him to hide. He yells at her to stop, but she keeps firing, her expression cold and terrifying. Seiichi arrives, and Taka immediately calls him a traitor, saying he'll never forgive him and that nothing will be easy from now on. Before he can say anything more, a bullet lands right next to his face. Ren warns him that threats don't work on a police officer. They only increase his crimes. Taka tries to defend himself, but Ren says he was caught selling illegal weapons and other contraband. She has no choice but to arrest him. Then she turns to Seiichi and demands to know why he's here. Thinking quickly, he says she was gone for a long time, so he came to check on her. Ren says she hates crime and wonders if all this happened because Taka betrayed someone. Either way, he was caught trafficking weapons. Seiichi realizes things will soon turn dangerous. If he stops Ren, he'll be interfering with an arrest. If he does nothing, things will get worse. At that moment, Taka reaches for his gun. Instinctively, Seiichi jumps at Ren, tackling her to the ground. Ren panics, realizing Taka still has a weapon. She tells Seiichi to get off her, but he shouts that he'll protect her. Both Ren and Taka freeze. They misunderstand him completely. Ren thinks he's declaring his devotion. Taka thinks Seiichi is distracting Ren so he can escape, which actually is true. Taka takes the chance to flee and disappears. Ren is too flustered to focus, her face red. After a moment, she apologizes for being cold earlier. She says that when Seiichi said he wouldn't betray her, it made her happy. She smiles and says they can get along from now on. Seiichi melts down inside. Ren still has the marriage certificate, and if things keep going like this, he's done for. Thinking fast, he says he doesn't want to be just friends. Instead, why don't they become something more than friends but less than lovers? Ren blushes even harder. To her, this strange, vague relationship feels pure and exciting. Completely embarrassed, she agrees, saying this kind of relationship is fine. Seiichi breathes a silent sigh of relief. His smooth talking worked. It was a critical hit. Later, Seiichi is in trouble again. He's stuck with a clingy student who keeps calling him Big Bro and wants to go on a date. While he appreciates the attention, he refuses. She's just a student after all. The girl doesn't see the problem. But before their argument continues, Seiichi tells her to turn around. Standing behind her is Ren, looking like she just caught him committing a serious crime. She doesn't hold back, asking dramatically, "Who is this woman?" Like she caught him cheating. 1 hour earlier, Seiichi was wandering the street, drowning in stress. His situation is a complete nightmare. Being a con artist is already dangerous, but dealing with Karasuma Ren, a cop, is even worse. If she learns about his real job, it's over. But if he disobeys the criminal organization, he might be eliminated. Now he's stuck in a deadly balancing act, close enough to Ren to avoid suspicion, but not so close that she uncovers the truth. It's a tightrope walk over hungry alligators, all waiting with his name on them. Meanwhile, Seiichi notices a girl getting the worst sales pitch of her life. Some guy with a sketchy smile is calling himself an emergency entertainment producer, insisting she's model material and that he has all the right industry connections. She's slowly falling for it, until Seiichi swoops in like a scam-busting superhero. The fake producer is instantly annoyed. He shoves a business card at Seiichi, acting like it's a VIP pass, and tells him to call the office if he's suspicious. Seiichi, completely unimpressed, takes out his phone. The scammer panics and threatens to sue for defamation if Seiichi doesn't like what he hears. The girl freaks out and begs them to stop before it gets worse. But Seiichi casually flips his screen toward her. He didn't call the agency. He called the police. The scammer's face drains of all color. And right on cue, his friend in the police appears, Karasuma Ren, immediately pointing her gun at Seiichi instead of the scammer. Sensing disaster, Seiichi quickly asks her to put the gun away. Ren, clearly entertained, teases him. She says she thought he was fooling around with another girl. He tells her there's nothing for her to confirm. The girl thanks him and runs off. Ren comments that it's good he caught the scammer, but Seiichi says it was only luck. In truth, after years of being a con artist, he's extremely good at reading people. That's why he knew the guy was fake. Ren thanks him officially as an officer, but Seiichi says some things he just can't ignore. As a con artist, he has pride, even if it's twisted. Pathetic scammers like that don't deserve sympathy. Ren switches topics and points out that he seems pretty popular, mentioning how that student earlier was clinging to him. Then she tries to cling to him the same way. Seiichi dodges smoothly. Ren is instantly irritated, demanding to know why he avoided her but let the other girl grab him. Then, without warning, she asks if he fell in love with that student at first sight. We're reminded that Officer Karasuma Ren has an unusually sharp instinct for sensing criminals. She starts pressing him. Too much. How did he know the scammer was bad when he looked totally normal? Is Seiichi really as honest as he acts? Why did he run away from her earlier? Her instinct comes rushing back all at once. She suddenly realizes she let her guard down around him. When Seiichi says she doesn't own him, she pulls out her gun again, declaring she'll punish him. He has no idea why he's suddenly the bad guy. Then he makes a huge mistake. He tells her she's not some naive girl who can be toyed with. Ren goes bright red and fires her gun straight into the air in pure embarrassment. Trying to cover it up, she stiffly mutters that it's not like she'd mind being his. Seiichi notices this emotional weakness and thinks maybe, just maybe, he can use it. Love makes people blind. And in Ren's case, her instincts fall apart whenever her emotions spike. The downside? It also makes her unpredictable. Before he can even think, Ren drops a bomb. She straight up suggests they start dating. Seiichi plays dumb, but she repeats it with even more confidence. He reminds her they literally met yesterday. Ren argues that love doesn't follow a schedule and says his earlier words about not using her touched her deeply, words he instantly regrets. She even makes a playful finger gun pose, completely throwing him off. Seiichi tries slowing things down, saying, relationships should be built on mutual support, not rushed. Surprisingly, Ren agrees that people shouldn't use each other, so he proposes a compromise. More than friends, but less than lovers. Ren is intrigued and asks what that even means. Seiichi explains they can go on dates, shop together, eat out. Ren interrupts, pointing out that these are things couples do. To her, this basically means they are dating. Seiichi insists it's the beauty of simplicity. The narrator explains that wabi-sabi is about appreciating simple things. Ren asks for an example, so Seiichi paints a soft romantic scene. A rainy day, a single umbrella, two people standing so close their shoulders touch. Ren immediately nosebleeds like an anime heroine. Her idea of romance is stuck at a high school level. Japanese simplicity values calm, soft emotions. By slowly learning emotional distance together, their bond naturally deepens. And Seiichi starts appreciating this more than friends, less than lovers idea, at least mentally. Then he notices Ren standing way too close. She denies it, claiming it's part of the beauty of simplicity. Ren suggests they hold hands. Seiichi instantly refuses. It goes against the philosophy. She argues even friends hold hands. He counters that only little kids do. Two friends walk by holding hands. Seiichi is defeated. Before he can stop her, Ren handcuffs herself to him. Stunned, he panics. Ren smugly explains that they're connected without holding hands. Perfect for the beauty of simplicity. Clever? Yes. Horrifying? Also yes. He rejects it immediately. Hey guys, sorry for mid-editing, but I noticed a lot of you are watching my videos without subscribing. Our subscribe ratio is literally close to 0. I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It helps a lot. Thanks. Now, back to the recap. Ren is clearly lost on what wabi-sabi even means. Meanwhile, Seiichi is dying inside, thinking, yeah, she totally misunderstood everything. And honestly, we're not lovers or friends. We're literally a cop and a criminal. He knows this is the truth, but something about it just feels wrong. To change the mood, he suggests she at least eat her cake. Not that she needed the reminder, she was ready to finish it in seconds. As he watches her eat, something unexpected hits him. He realizes she's actually kind of cute. Not that it matters. He's a con artist. Feelings are useless distractions. Totally unnecessary. Nope, no feelings here. Before his denial reaches astronomical levels, Ren suddenly leans toward him. She tries to feed him a bite of cake. He's not surprised. He saw this coming from a mile away and already prepared his counterattack. With a perfectly serious face, he shuts it down. He doesn't like sweets. Ren freezes, questioning his existence. If he hates sweets, why are they even in a cafe? He tries to argue logically. Cafes aren't just for feeding each other cake, and she was the one who dragged him in here. Checkmate, right? Wrong. Seiichi starts overthinking Ren's behavior. If she really thinks this is romantic, then her idea of love must be straight out of a high school drama. Still, that's no reason to avoid the topic completely. Maybe if she cooled down a bit, she would think more clearly. But Ren has no intention of giving him even a second to think. If he won't eat her cake, then there's only one option left. He should feed her instead. As soon as she says that, every warning bell in his brain goes off. Yep, he saw this coming too. The narrator explains, feeding someone is totally a couple thing. Do it once, and you're basically one step away from being an official couple. After that, there's no going back. It's like walking straight into a romantic trap. Ren stares at him expectantly. Trying to take control, Seiichi blurts out something, and it backfires instantly. He phrases it in a way that makes it sound like he's feeding a pet, not a girlfriend. Ren slowly turns to look at their reflection in the window. And yep, it really does look like she's a puppy getting treats. Great, perfect, wonderful. By the time he finally moves, the whole situation is flipped on him. He thought he was controlling things, but somehow he ended up looking completely helpless. Ren watches him and thinks, wow, he looks so pathetic right now. He tries to recover, saying this is all happening way too fast. The narrator adds, his amazing plan was to keep their relationship strictly at friends. But he completely misread the situation. Ren does want to move forward, but not because of romance. For her, this is simply going out to eat with someone. Since she has almost no experience with guys, this feels like a rare chance she doesn't want to waste. That's why she's being so persistent. If she lets this slip, who knows when she'll get another chance? Since feeding him cake didn't work, she moves to the next step. Ren asks if she can taste his coffee. Seiichi is so shocked he almost spits his drink out. Why can't she just order her own? Ren calmly explains she wants to try it, just not enough to order a full cup. Then she adds with an innocent look, sharing is what friends do. That's when it hits him. He walked right into the trap himself. She said friends, so he can't refuse without making it weird. But then it gets worse. This isn't just sharing coffee, it's an indirect kiss. Just before she takes a sip, Seiichi panics and asks, is being friends really your only reason for doing this? Ren pauses, then gives him a knowing look and throws the question back at him. Is that really all I'm thinking about? That completely throws him off. Wait, is there something he's missing? Before he can figure it out, Ren casually pulls out her phone. When he asks what she's doing, she says, I just texted my coworkers. I told them I'm sharing coffee with a friend. Seiichi freaks out instantly. Ren smirks like a cat cornering a mouse. Think about how they'll interpret that. He panics even more. But before he can come up with an excuse, Ren suggests something even scarier. Maybe you should meet my coworkers. Terrified, Seiichi blurts out that he's had too much caffeine and the coffee must be cold. Maybe they should just order a fresh cup. Ren refuses instantly. She says she doesn't mind cold coffee. She lifts the cup, but then stops. Her hand is shaking. Seiichi asks if she actually doesn't like coffee. Ren, looking embarrassed, admits the truth. She hates bitter things. She usually puts a mountain of sugar in her coffee, but since this cup isn't hers, she can't dump sweetness into it. If they're sharing, it wouldn't be fair. She sighs and confesses. She's a 24-year-old woman who can't drink black coffee without sugar. Seeing her like this, Seiichi sighs and gives in. He orders a macchiato and a caramel coffee. He promises he won't laugh. Honestly, he finds it kind of cute. A little later, after drowning her drink in sugar, Ren takes a sip and casually asks if today's coffee feels sweeter than usual. Seiichi sighs, thinking the chaos is finally over. He's relieved, even if everything felt like a mess. But he knows, if Ren's sharp instincts turn back on, he's doomed. He compares her to a spoiled cat, one that plays with its food before eating it. Then, out of nowhere, Ren calls him out. She reminds him he doesn't like sweet things. He agrees, confused about where she's going with this. Then she points out she doesn't like bitter things. And with a completely serious face, she declares, "That means we just took another step toward becoming a couple." Seiichi almost drops his cup. "Excuse me, what?" He demands to know how she reached that conclusion. Ren confidently reminds him, he's the one who said learning about each other brings people closer. He freezes. Did he really say that? Ren smiles and lifts her phone. Yep, she even recorded it. He sinks in defeat while Ren happily orders another coffee, smiling like a cat that just knocked something off a table on purpose. And that's when it hits him. Ren Karasuma isn't just a spoiled cat, she's a predator. And he is absolutely the prey. Later, Seiichi finds himself out with Ren again. She casually calls it a date drive, but to him, it feels more like he's being escorted to jail. Later, he vents to Taka. He wants to know how long he has to keep pretending with Ren Karasuma. Taka, barely paying attention, says the deal is taking longer than expected and will probably last 3 months. Seiichi freezes. 3 months? He panics at the idea of keeping up the act for that long. 3 months feels like forever when every second he risks being exposed. Taka shrugs and tells him complaining won't help. If Seiichi really is a con artist, then he should prove he can stay in character until the very end. Seiichi tries to protest, but Taka walks off, leaving him muttering to himself. As he walks alone, he tries to process everything. 3 months. Which means he needs to avoid unnecessary contact with Ren at all costs. Just as he decides this, a loud car horn blares behind him. It's Ren, patrolling alone. He asks why she isn't with her partner. Ren proudly explains she left them behind because she smelled crime, and then she saw him. To her, this is obviously fate, the power of love. Seiichi, sweating, insists it's just coincidence, but she argues that if he phrases it romantically, she can't fight back. He sighs and insists he's just stating facts, then tries to leave so he won't interrupt her patrol. Ren, however, takes everything literally. Calling it fate is her way of keeping things innocent, not romantic. Before he can escape, she offers him a ride. He hesitates, but she insists, so he gets in. As they drive, he wonders where she's taking him. Surely not the police station. And he never told her where he lives. What is she planning? Then out of nowhere, she returns to the topic of their relationship. She reminds him they aren't officially a couple yet. They're more than friends but not lovers. Getting to know each other is part of the process, so isn't it time to make things official? He remembers their recent coffee and sweets incident. That's basically all they learned about each other. But Ren wants a real answer. When should they officially start dating? Today? Tomorrow? The day after? Seiichi panics. This is exactly the trap she planned. Ren explains that she likes their dynamic, finds his attitude charming, and believes men tend to be the romantic ones in relationships. Men are romantics. Women are realists. In the middle of talking, she loosens her grip on the steering wheel and the car shakes. Seiichi shouts at her to keep her eyes on the road. Inside, he's scrambling for a strategy. If they officially start dating, she'll expect more, and he risks being exposed. Maybe he can use a negotiation trick, the door-in-the-face method. If he says something extreme, she'll reject it, and then he can offer his real preference. Testing it, he asks when she wants to start dating. Ren answers immediately, "Today, right now." He nearly chokes. He tries to backpedal, saying they'll have to decide eventually, but today is too soon. Then he throws out an extreme number, 6 months. Ren lets out a dramatic scream. Seiichi panics, telling her to calm down and focus on the road. He hoped negotiation would work, but Ren is not the type who backs off, so he switches tactics. He says that if they're going to date, they need proper preparation. Something important like this shouldn't be decided in a police car. His words fluster her. She blushes, misunderstanding it as something close to a proposal. While she's distracted, Seiichi quickly offers a new number, 3 months instead of 6. He needs her to accept this. To his surprise, she agrees. Then she suddenly stops the car. Seiichi steps out and looks around. They're on top of a building with a beautiful view. Ren says it's her favorite place, and she brought him here because he seemed tired, and she wanted to cheer him up. Realizing this was her true intention, he asks if that's really all. She smiles and asks if he feels better. She admits that aside from knowing he doesn't like sweets, she really doesn't know much about him. Then, taking his hand, she tells him that if it's for him, she's willing to show everything. No hiding, no secrets. Blushing, she asks him not to keep too much bottled inside. Seiichi turns red. For a moment, he almost falls for her. This is dangerous. As a con man, real affection is unfamiliar. If she confesses now, he won't be able to turn her down easily. Desperate, he awkwardly changes the topic. Ren sighs and calls him dense. Seiichi wonders if, for once, She isn't sensing the usual criminal vibes around him. Maybe he finally slipped past her instincts. Either way, it's only 3 months. He just has to survive until then. He apologizes internally. If he weren't a con man and she weren't a cop, maybe things could have been different. But that's not their reality. He can't fall for anyone. Just when he thinks the evening is ending, Ren suddenly announces there's one more place she wants to take him. Seiichi freezes. Wait, no way. He looks around trying to understand what's happening. There is no mistake. They are standing in front of a love hotel. Why did Ren bring him here? She said she wanted to show him one more place. He had let his guard down because of her innocent, almost middle school understanding of romance. But then Ren steps out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, and casually sits beside him. Seiichi, who normally views women only as targets for his schemes, finds himself staring for a moment. He quickly snaps out of it. He reminds her that they agreed to wait 3 months before dating, so why are they here? Ren looks completely confused. And that's when he realizes the truth. She never actually agreed to that. The realization hits him so hard that he bursts into hysterical laughter. Seiichi had thought he convinced Ren, but now he wonders if she's been playing along from the start. She's far sharper than he expected. His body reacts by instinct. For a moment, he almost slips into his usual routine. He moves toward her, but then he stops himself. He forces himself to step back with a soft plea. He doesn't want to embarrass her further. As a con artist, this kind of thing is part of the job, but not now. This situation is different. His thoughts freeze for a moment. His body still remembers old reflexes. He almost goes along with it out of habit. But now he's aware. This isn't a target. This isn't another con. This is real. Ren asks gently what's wrong. Seiichi steps away and says he can't let himself get carried away with someone inexperienced. She says she doesn't mind, but he insists. Even if she doesn't regret it now, he would. That's all there is to it. Her expression falls. She quietly asks, "Are you getting cold feet?" Something in her voice makes him react. Without thinking, he grabs her shoulders. Frustrated, he lashes out, accusing her of avoiding eye contact, of holding back, of hiding her body, trying to hide her nerves. Deep down, she's trembling too, not just from fear, but from anticipation. He points this out, pushing her carefully and harshly. For a second, he thinks he's got her. But then Ren snaps. Her patience is gone. She yells at him, angry and frustrated, for overanalyzing everything. She's tired of his excuses. She's done with him acting like he knows what's best. She grabs his collar and demands, if a woman offers herself to him, why can't he accept it? Seiichi tries to speak, but she interrupts with a cold, teasing tilt of her head. Then she asks, sharp and direct, "Are you a virgin?" The strike hits deep. His mind goes blank. She continues, mocking the way he hesitates, the way he overthinks, laughing that it all finally makes sense. Of course he's a virgin. That would explain his hesitation, his constant overthinking. Hearing it so boldly, seething under the provocation, he snaps inwardly. She has the nerve to dare him, even though she's inexperienced herself. Annoying. She keeps teasing, saying how he always shrinks when things get real. She even calls it kind of cute. But that's it. He refuses to let her have the final word. He gets up and steps closer. If she's so sure, fine. Let her see he's not as easy as she thinks. She smirks, thinking she's won, thinking he's finally given in. But he halts her with one firm statement. If we go through with this now, without dating first, then what this becomes is a purely physical relationship. Nothing else. His words hit like a brick. Ren freezes. Her body goes stiff. She trembles. This isn't what she wanted, not at all. Step by step, the reality sinks in. Then she bolts, full of horror and shock. As she rushes out, he calls after her not to forget her clothes. He sinks back into his seat, hands through his hair, muttering, "What a waste. All that tension, all that buildup, only to end like this." Before she gets too far, he adds one last comment. How ridiculous it is that she brought a police car to a love hotel. That finally ignites her anger. She storms off, yelling that he better remember this. As she speeds away in her patrol car, another officer, her partner, Tabasa, sees the car and looks confused. That was Ren's patrol car. Tabasa, furious, orders Ren to explain what's going on. She's sure there's a story here, that Ren has proof of something. Ren, flustered and shaken, says she hasn't done anything wrong. Well, not yet. She admits she tried something, but it didn't work out. Then Tabasa hears the word he, and her suspicions explode. Does Ren have a boyfriend now? Tabasa, who's known Ren since childhood, can't believe it. In all those years, she never saw Ren even glance at a guy. Yet now, out of nowhere, Ren has a man. The shock hits hard. A mix of jealousy, surprise, disbelief, maybe even a little sentiment. Ren, noticing the change, tries to calm Tabasa. Tabasa waves it off, forgives her for ditching duty and, she assumes, for going on a romantic errand to a love hotel. Ren immediately corrects Tabasa, but she realizes now might not be the best time to bring up happy relationship stuff, especially since Tabasa just broke up with her boyfriend. Predictably, Tabasa doesn't appreciate the reminder and dramatically declares that finding a new man is so easy for Ren. Ren just nods seriously, which only irritates Tabasa more. To her, the only thing worse than heartbreak is someone genuinely believing she's okay when she's clearly spiraling. Trying to regain control of the conversation, Tabasa grills Ren about this mystery man. What does he do? What's his number? Where does he live? Ren's answers are simple. I don't know. Or, he just picks me up when we go out. With every answer, Tabasa's suspicion skyrockets. How can Ren know literally nothing about this guy? Then Ren drops a bombshell. She knows one important thing. He has amazing technique. Tabasa nearly chokes in disbelief. Ren, completely oblivious, just nods excitedly, thinking she's finally given her friend some useful info. Meanwhile, Tabasa is internally screaming, piecing things together. This guy is definitely hiding something. Shy yet experienced, romantic yet evasive, showing up for dates but keeping no contact. The math doesn't add up. Ren, on the other hand, is floating in the clouds of first love, unconcerned. When Tabasa warns her she might be getting played, Ren laughs it off, joking that Tabasa is just jealous. That's it. Tabasa has had enough. If Ren won't wake up, she'll personally bring this Seiichi Sagino into the light and expose whatever shady business he's hiding. Later that evening, Ren and Seiichi are on a date, which ends suspiciously early. Seiichi apologizes, saying he has urgent matters but promises to see her soon. Tabasa, watching from a distance, isn't buying it. Who leaves a date at 7 p.m.? What kind of nonsense is this? Ren might be love-struck, but Tabasa is on high alert. Time for detective work. She tails Seiichi and sees nothing unusual at first. Then he stops to pet a cat. Okay, maybe he's not all bad. Cats don't like just anyone. Feeling reassured, she tries to pet the same cat, only for it to flee like it saw a ghost. Rude. She follows him a little longer, concluding he's probably a nice guy. Maybe. To be sure, she keeps observing. But just as she loses sight of him and runs to catch up, a group of sketchy men stops her, making unwelcome comments. Before she can act, Seiichi swoops in like a stylish knight, grabs her hand, and pulls her away, leaving the men in shock. Tabasa, embarrassed but grateful, thanks him. Normally, she wouldn't have let herself get caught like that. Seiichi, ever the gentleman, tells her to be more careful. After all, she's a woman first, a cop second. The words hit her in a way she won't admit. As he turns to leave, she seizes the moment, asking him casual questions to probe him. He claims he just finished a meeting and was heading home. Sounds reasonable. But something still feels off. Tabasa casually walks away, saying goodbye, making sure to introduce herself before disappearing into the night. Meanwhile, the two men who harassed her earlier stand there looking sheepish. Turns out they had no idea she was a cop. They quickly apologize to Seiichi, but he's not forgiving. His glare alone makes them sweat. He warns them that if the cops ever find out about their connection to him, it won't end well. Taka strolls in, calm as always, telling Seiichi to ease up on them. He promises a scolding later, though it probably won't be too serious. Then he asks Seiichi about the fake ID he arranged. Seiichi admits it was perfect timing and came in handy immediately. As usual, he grumbles that these things should be sorted in advance, not at the last minute. Taka just shrugs, unfazed, apologizing like it's no big deal. Watching Tabasa leave, Seiichi pieces things together. He knew her from their investigation. She's Ren's partner. But he had no idea she was tailing him. That's a little concerning. He just hopes she doesn't become a real problem. Meanwhile, Tabasa is still lost in thought. That whole "you're a woman before you're a cop" comment? Kind of sweet. But then she realizes something. She never told him she was a police officer. That's suspicious. Maybe he's not as innocent as he seems.